All right, welcome everybody to Witches and Warlocks. I'm the Blackfit Witch.
I'm Galactic Honey.
And this is Divine Conversations around divine connections and partnerships. And we have a grand old topic for y'all tonight.
Not
we
grand.
are grand old topic. We're going to talk about what is love. What is love within a cosmic connection, a divine partnership, spiritual partnership, whatever you may call it. What is it? So that is what we are going to go over tonight. And if you all have anything that you want to chime in on, definitely don't hesitate to leave a comment. But we do want you all to like, subscribe, and share to the Witches and Warlocks YouTube channel and also Witches and Warlocks Instagram page. So we have a Witches and Warlocks Instagram, and then the Witches and Warlocks YouTube. So you can go back and look at all the past episodes where we've talked on from spells and attachments to sex magic, surrendering, just everything. We've already covered a lot of things that you all can go back to. And sometimes in various episodes, we may reference those other episodes. So it'd be great if you go back and just check them out. Um, and if it's one that we really need, we'll, add it to the comment so you can just click on it and go straight to it. But that's what it is today. What is love? Because we in the love energy. We just had Love Day on Wednesday, but this whole month has been such a loving energy for everybody. So we just gonna get right to it and share what's been given to us to share. Anything you want to dive into first, Galactic Honey, with what is love? Or you want me to
Well,
start?
I'm realizing that this is episode 13. I love the number 13. And the tarot is the death card, which means death and rebirth. But it also speaks to a sacred path. When you add 1 plus 3, you get 4. And 4 in the tarot is the 4 of Wands, which is a union coming together, which is about love, big events and stuff like that. So I love number 13. Um, and we're talking about what is love. Like that's amazing. That's right there. But um basically what I just want to speak about.
And you know what? I also heard I was looking at this documentary on sacred geometry. And one of the things that they were sharing on there, and also antiquity, and they was talking about just various symbols in antiquity. And one of the things that he shared on there was the number 13. And he said number
A lot.
13 came from the goddess over the lunar cycles because there's 13 lunar cycles.
Hmm.
And he said her goddess Sin, her name was Goddess Sin. And so that's where in Christianity or biblical scriptures, like to be a sinner is almost connected to the goddess Sin and the moon energies. And it's probably why there's a disconnect with looking at moon cycles, doing divination, things like that. And they look at that as being a sinner or sinning in some type of way because it connects to the goddess Sin, and her number is 13 because of the 13 phases of the moon. And I thought that was really cool too.
That is cool. I have never heard that.
Hmm.
That is really cool. I love the number 13. I think it's just the most, it's been coming up a whole lot lately. This was Super Bowl number 13. Like it's the dude that explained all about it, how Taylor Swift that was her 13th. Um, let me see. It was something, but it was a lot of number 13s that's come up in the past couple of
Yeah, he was going.
years.
He was going in. I think that was her
Mhm.
her album or something. That's her 13th album, 13th
Yeah.
Grammy or something. And
Mhm.
this is her 13th Super Bowl. And then the Chiefs were the first seed. I think the 49ers were the third seed. And then that's 13. So he was
Yeah.
breaking it down with all of it.
What plus
It was
9?
13.
It's an alignment with the number 13 lately. So I
hmm
love it. And then a lot of one thing I did notice too, not to get off topic, but I noticed that on the 13th, I have a friend who the father of her children, he was born on the 13th. So I saw a lot of life and death on the 13th. They were celebrating his birthday because he passed or whatever like that. They've been doing it for years, but I noticed that it's a lot of people that I know whose birthdays are on the 13th. My
Hmm.
mama passed on the 13th. Like it's like a lot of people that I know that are connected to the number 13. Like the 13th day just stood out. I was like, dang, I didn't even know that I had this many people birthdays on the 13th. Going down my Facebook, I was like, dang,
hmm
they children. Like, so it was like a lot of life and death, and it was like more of little bitty children and people who passed a while ago, like
Mm.
this. It was like a representation of that death and then that rebirth cycle. It was just kind of like the infinity. It was yeah, that's what I kind of felt like. It was like it was a lot of stuff, and I got a lot of revelations on the 13th too. So it was a lot going on. But on topic, the love that we have been feeling it has really been amazing. And to describe what is love is to me almost a little complex because it means so many things. It represents so many things. Just like you can have that sweet love, but you can also have tough love. So it's like it represents so many things, and I feel like as long as your intentions are pure when it comes to love, that it can be reciprocated clearly. um I'm learning a lot about I throughout my journey. I have learned that I used to always be very clingy and very like I used to think that I knew what love was. Like I'm like I always love love. I used to wear everything that had love on it, and I was just like, oh, I really. And then I kind of realized, like in the marriage, going back there, I had to realize that I got married before I really knew what love was. I didn't really know what love was, what real unconditional love was. I was really loving from a place of conditions. Um, and I didn't know what it was until I really started to have children. And I think that that's the way it was supposed to be when it came to before I met my divine partner. I needed to actually experience what it was so that I would be able to bring it forth into my connection. Because before it was like, you know, I let a lot of things go on within myself and within my marriage that I should have never let happen, but it was all a part of my path, right?
hmm
But after I had children and I realized what real unconditional love is, like I would like literally my children after having children, I had to learn also that there is a letting go factor too. You know what I'm saying? Like, so
hmm
that is love in itself too, to allow your children to walk their own path and to do the things that they need to do one day. I was a real helicopter mom. Like I thought that was love too, you know what I'm saying? At some point. And so through everything that I learned how to be when I became a mother, and what I really wanted for myself and my children, and understanding that there's a balance that you have to keep when you are speaking in the terms of love. There's a balance that you have to keep, because too much of anything, as they say, will kill you. And too much of anything is not exactly good for you. But I had to learn how to keep that balance. Learning how to keep that balance within when I first started being a mother helped me to come into this as a divine partner. So once I became a divine partner, I started to understand the reason why, you know, why I loved the way that I did. And it wasn't, and I used to think that it was a bad thing. You know how when you go through you go through certain partnerships or certain, relationships, situationships, and you go through um those different transformations, and you start to think, well, I started to think like, okay, well, maybe I'm not good at this. Maybe I just don't know what I'm doing. Maybe there's a lot of work that I need to do on myself. And then I came to the understanding of, okay, I can't love my children the way they need to be loved if I don't love myself first. I can't love my partner the way he needs to be loved if I don't love myself first. So it took me back to learning that I didn't really love myself in the way that I thought, and then having to go back and course correct certain things and to bring new thought forms into my life to where I'm like, okay, now this is love. You know what I'm saying? Not sacrificing myself, not even for my children, not sacrificing myself, not even like there's certain things that, we shouldn't sacrifice ourselves first for, as they call it, in the name of love. You know what I'm saying? So I was basically going backwards in order to course correct so that I could move forward on my journey in love, like loving myself, learning what I want. When I got married, I didn't know what I wanted. I didn't know what I really liked.
Mhm.
It was like I didn't really even know myself at that time to even have been in a marriage to and to even have 5 children. I started having children at 23, and I didn't even know myself before I started having children. I've just learned myself through the process of, getting to a place where I actually stopped having children. Like that's when I really started to learn myself. So now that I like know who I am, I can look back and I can be like, well, yeah, this is definitely a part of my journey in the love department. Because had I not went backwards to course correct myself and to learn how to love myself, I still would be in the same places that I was back then, um, and I definitely wouldn't know how to push this partnership forward. It would
Mhm.
be, I would, he, we would be stuck in that old version of ourselves to where it would never even move forward, which makes sense on why this happens, like, kind of over and over again. Um, but yeah, that's like my take on my intro into what is love, on how I had to love myself first. How I had to learn that I didn't love myself just to go back and learn to love myself in a way that way I can be healthy mentally, physically, emotionally inside of this connection.
And I'm gonna go through several things just came to me. Um, and I'm gonna share a lot of different stuff that's going on in my head. But when I think about love, for me, it is what I've shared before. For me, it's like giving, seeking nothing in return. Like
Mhm.
that is the highest form of love, is when you love somebody to the point whatever you give, when you give your love, when you give your time, when you give your energy, when you give your caring, whatever it is that you're giving to them, you don't seek that back from your children. You love them unconditionally. When you give that to your parents and your parents give it to you, they don't look for anything back. They give to you unconditionally. So it doesn't have conditions. So a lot
Mhm.
of the times with love, like we'll look at love as attaching conditions to the other person on how they're supposed to reciprocate it back to you. And love has no conditions. If it has conditions, that's not really love. And then that's when you have to go deeper within yourself to be like, hey, what is it that I'm doing? Because at this point, it's kind of predatory, because you're wanting that person to give you something that you haven't fulfilled for yourself when you go into that particular aspect of it. So when I look at the sweetness and the energy. I look at two different energies, because I look at like the Aset loving mother energy, because that is that Yemiya energy, like it's real mothering, it's real loving, it's all encompassing. And then I also look at the Heteru side of it, because Heteru can give that love that is also all
Mhm.
encompassing, but it can go sensual too. So with your romantic partner, you may want to, share that energy that's a little bit more sensual and romantic, because the romantic love for your cosmic partnership when it's your mate is different than the cosmic partnership and love you have for a parent or a child. So
Mhm.
that's where it kind of goes even with um I would say, even like in the Christian belief system, when they talk about the agape love, which is that
Mhm.
highest love frequency that they talk about that you're supposed to share, as like what God has for his children. So they say within their belief system. And that's what it is. Like God, source, energy, frequency gives to us, not seeking anything in return. And it's just interesting to me, like, even within certain scriptures, like, God is a jealous God. You can't have any gods before me. And you have all these different things and stipulations. And I'm just like, okay, well, what God are you all referring to? Because in my thought process, God is the creator. And with the creator or source energy, source doesn't need you to worship it. Like, there isn't a worship that has to go into place in
Mhm.
order for source to just be. Source doesn't need you to worship it for source to be. Source is going to be anyway. So that's kind of interesting in certain religions where you have to go in, worshiping. And I think worship is I think it's a poor word to use, a poor choice of words to use to show love. I don't have to worship. I just
Mhm.
love this energy. I just love source energy. I just love the higher frequency energy. Like, this love is so deep within inside of me that it exudes my aura that I have to
Mhm.
push it out to everybody around me. So
Right.
even and I'm looking in the meta nectar what I'm coming from, because there's two sides to Heteru. Like, you can go negative energy of Heteru, and you can go into positive energy, or you can go yin or yang, or however you want to look at it. But some people take positive negative as looking at it a certain way, but it's just yin and yang energy. It can be a strong forceful energy, or it can be an inward feminine energy. It can be masculine hard, or it can be feminine soft and inward. So it's just two sides to it. But going in looking at the personality and these emotional traits when it comes down to giving, seeking nothing in return, and as central, or we're talking about more so with what is love, we're talking about more so within your connection, your divine connection, your cosmic partnership, what your twin flame, whatever you want to call it. So looking at it, it can be shameless. When it goes into the negative aspect of it, it can be neglectful. You can be wasteful. It can be craving. It can be immoral. It can be fearful. it can be careless, and it also can be narcissistic. And we hear a lot of people talking about narcissism, but that goes into the negative side of that all-encompassing energy, because they become narcissistic to the point where they're overbearing, they're controlling, they're pushing off their thought processes on you because
Mhm.
they're clenching so hard and so tight. Sometimes people do that, or I do like the short man syndrome. So it's kind of, I think about it in that regard, because they're trying to be both so they can do more to
Yeah,
keep you from leaving. So you get that from it.
overcompensate for something else.
Yeah, they overcompensate because they don't have what they need here. So when I think about love, especially with talking about like these connections, you got to see like, what place am I in
Hmm.
when I'm talking about love within my partnership? Like, am I loving myself unconditionally? Am
Yeah.
I loving myself with the highest love, agape love, high frequency love, whatever it is? Am I loving myself to that point? Because if you don't love everything, and I hear, and I know when I used to personal train, I used to hear women just talk so bad about themselves, like how ugly they look, how like they can't move a certain way, like, ooh, I got two left feet, or I it's like every time, anytime I would tell them to do something, it would be like something negative that they would say about themselves. And I'm
Mm.
like, well, damn, what do you like? Why are you constantly saying negative stuff about yourself? Like, that's not sharing and showing that you love yourself. And people don't think about it like that, but that's what it is. Like, when you can spit out so much negative to say about yourself, then
Mm.
that's saying, without saying, that you don't have this all encompassing love for self. Because if you did, those negative words don't come back. Be like, ooh, I can't get that, but I'm trying so hard and I know I will. Like, ooh, I know I'm not where I want to be
Mm.
physically or health wise, but I'm on the road and I'm getting there. Like, that's speaking love, because you got to speak love into yourself, but you got to speak it outwards for it to flow back in, just
Yeah.
like the whole cycle of the universe. Like, it works just like that. So think about, what is love first for me? Like, what is love for me? Like,
Mm.
how do I love me? Like, I can't look for nobody else to do it, but what are some ways that I just love on me without no partnership? And I
Mm.
think that's step one, looking into, like I was just sharing you all the negative aspects, or the hardcore yang aspects of Heru, but making that a little bit softer and sweeter. Because if you get in a connection and you're not fully loving yourself, then these traits are going to come out, and they're going to really be magnified in
That's
the
right.
partnership with that person, and they going to see it and feel it in a way that you may not thought you meant for it to come out,
Mhm.
but they gonna feel it a certain way. So that's first for me, is like, what is love for you? We're gonna
Yeah.
start there tonight, looking at that, and then we'll move on. But I definitely wanted to share that first.
And that's the most important thing. Um, Everything that you just said is so important. How you feel about yourself, you're transmuting that energy to your partner. And what you will come to realize is that, well, you will think like, I really kind of don't believe in narcissism, even though I've seen it. But it's like it's like to me, like, they say you are what you attract. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And
Mm-hmm.
so certain things like that you feel about yourself, you're now transmuting that to your partner. And your
Mm-hmm.
partner is like the broadcast system. You're like the frequency, but the partner is like that broadcast system that
Mm-hmm.
airs it out. And so are you thinking that this person just like threw back, like they everything that you thought, like your fears on the inside, now they're verbally bringing those fears to you in your face? That is nothing but you, because you are the creator of this reality, your own reality. You have now broadcasted that to the person, and then now that person is broadcasting it back to you. So the more you are in the energy of not fully loving yourself unconditionally, like really giving yourself the grace that you need, you cannot expect that from your partner as well. And I know we see a lot of fairy tale, like, I don't want to say fairy, those people might be really good relationships, but we see a lot of internet relationships, and we see a lot of relationships that are being influenced by what they see on the internet, and what, um and my thing is, a lot of those relationships have become social media influences. So
Mhm.
they are, you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. And it's best for you to understand who you are so that you can understand what type of relationship you want to bring into fruition, when it comes to you, um being with your divine partner. But you got to have that relationship with yourself. Like, that's the most important thing, because if you don't, you're gonna steady go in this, that loop that keeps you coming back around to yourself. The universe constantly bringing you back to yourself, like that. But and it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing to, be brought back to yourself, and to be shown, have that awakening, like, oh, I didn't, this is why this is happening, because I'm not showing myself this love. I'm giving I'm giving this outward to this person, but the person is actually broadcasting what's on the inside of me. So it's almost
Mhm.
like you're playing a role, like you're acting. And so when you are in that not self that not self concept, right? Your person is now broadcasting that back to you, and now you have that awakening that you haven't been being yourself. Like, you're still wearing the mask, or you still are not loving yourself in the way that you should. Um, when you don't love yourself the way that you should, you do have that negative self talk. You do have, like, you accept things from other people that you shouldn't accept, and then sometimes you project things onto people,
Mhm.
that they are really not even, they haven't even been concerned about, and now you have projected this onto this person, and now it has become a issue inside whatever situation. It doesn't even have to be a partnership. This could be on family, friends. I've seen people do it to mentors, people that are actually trying to help them. They are not reciprocating to the love and of what that person is giving them, you know. So the more we do work on self and really get into why you love yourself, like, it should be something that it should always be something that you love about yourself, to counteract that negative thought that tells you that you can't do something, or tells you that, you know you're not who you want to be, or, who are you to do that. There should
Mhm.
always be a positive affirmation that comes back, that tells you, yes, you can, and yes, I am worthy. A lot of women and men feel like they are not worthy of the type of people who really do give unconditional love, who really do give that love without not without having to receive something back. Like, my divine partner, we used to be like, why are you doing this? Like, they will actually question because they don't feel worthy of it. But I just saw a need, and I just met the need that you needed. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm looking like in my mind. But one thing that I remember running into was that I was not meeting my own needs at the same time. Like, I had gotten to a point where I wasn't meeting my own needs, and I was more concerned about his needs, you know what I'm saying, in an aspect. And I have done this many times with my children too. And we can do that over and over again to where we deplete ourselves. So this is why self-love comes into play, because when you really love yourself, it's like that reminder, like, hold on, wait a minute, you haven't taken care of yourself first. You need to go back, take care of yourself first, and then we'll come back to this. You need that in your, you need that, to be floating around your aura field.
Hmm. And you said something key about you have to, and this is one of the things that's difficult for certain people is they I would say this. People think that when you say, "Hey, I love myself," that's like automatic. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
of course I love myself. I don't hate myself. And we're not saying that you hate yourself, but what we're saying is that maybe the actions, the words that you're putting out is not really showing that
mm,
true love. And one of the things like I'm getting ready to share is like a lot of it stems from the fact that the inward work that needs to be done hasn't been satisfied to completion on where it needs to be in order for you to be able to show that and be able to give that within a partnership and a connection. And then like when you was talking about like the fairy tale or the social media love, like people have this thought process and view of what love is supposed to look like, and that's not love. That
yeah,
is
they surviving.
egotistical.
Yeah,
That's egotistical fairy tale. Like you can't get with someone and think like when we together, like we go to the movies, we have great sex, we go out to dinner and we buy each other gifts and we just we travel, like that's not realistic. And when you're in a higher spiritual connection, that it's more work than anything. Like what we're doing is to bring upon a higher level of consciousness in each other, like
yeah,
the work for each other. And that's why it's hard. That's why they talk about like the twin flame journey is hard, and being in your divine connection is hard. I wouldn't say it's hard, but it's challenging because it's different. And it's something that brings up things that's within you that needs to be worked on. So even like I'm going to go back to what I was sharing about our set. So I shared with Hedda Rue and more of the imagination, that loving energy that's encompassing from more of a sensual nature. And our set is more of that nurturing, mother, loving energy. And for me, what I feel like that comes first with people when you're in a relationship or you're not in a divine connection, it doesn't even matter,
mhm,
is the work that needs to be done in deep trance and meditation to bring up and out those things that may have been laying dormant that we didn't even know, that could be something from, when your mother was holding you in the womb. It could have been from a past life. It could be from a future life. It could be something that happened in this life. Who knows? But sometimes we'll suppress things so much and we think that we're over it, but we're not over it. We're just suppressing that it lays dormant and we don't bring it up. So, one of those things that I feel a lot of people need to do is to go and do the trans work. So, when we talk about Aset, and the goddess Aset, which is stated here in the Meta Nectar, is the embodiment of those intuitive and instinctive faculties that lay deep within our psyche, governing our ability to care for and to nurture others. Sometimes we don't even have that to care for or nurture others, whether you're male or female. Like
mhm,
being able to care and nurture, especially for men, because men don't have children. Like warlocks don't
yeah,
have babies. Unfortunately, magical, but you can't have babies. So when it comes down to being able to nurture and care for, that's more of a feminine energy, right? That's more of a yin energy that a lot of masculine energies and warlocks just don't have. And so that's why going deep into the psyche, going into the onset state, that's why it's the first, like right above Geb, like right above Geb is Aset. And that's why Aset is right there, because that is that deep trance work that you have to go to before you even go to Sebek and Heteru. Like you have to go right there and do that deep trance work to even be able to give or receive love, to be able to nurture self, right? be that caring, nurturing energy for self, and then be able to be that caring, loving energy for your divine mate, your divine partner, and all those around you, right? And there's a reason for the Neteru. It's a reason for, the tree of life or the Sephirah, if you're doing Kabbalah, whatever it is, of why those are set up on the tree the way that they are, because that's the first work. Like you can't skip past going into deep trance and reprogramming and bringing those things up before you get to Harukahuti or
Right.
Shango. Like you have to start here, Yimiya, before you go to Shango. You got to start at that very bottom piece. That's even, you got to start at the root before you get to the crown. Like
Right.
they're all the same things. We're all
Mhm.
talking
Yeah.
about the same, however you want to look at it. But you have to start with the root work. You have to start with the offset work. You have to start with the Yimiya, where you got to start there and do that work, because some you all may have been, victims of molestation or rape or traumatic experiences where you have a distortion view of what love is, right? You, like, when you supposed to get love for your mother, maybe she went there, maybe she beat you, or maybe she made you sell your body so y'all could, have the lights on.
Mhm.
Maybe she let her boyfriend sleep with you, or your stepdad. Like, who knows all the traumatic experiences that you all may have been through. So sometimes when people think of even the word love, they cringe. I know it's some people that can't even say I love you. They
Right.
cringe
Mhm.
because they've been hurt or past experiences. And you haven't went to the root, you haven't went to Aset to go deep into your psyche, to reprogram, to bring those things back up so
Yes.
you can be able to work on those things. That's why mushroom journeys are so important. That's why psychedelic experiences and ayahuasca experiences are so important, because, and the toad, or whatever you choose to do, because it gives you the opportunity to go in trance, releasing all control, getting to the root, to the offset, to the yin and yang of the problem, and being able to bring those things up so you can heal it. So that's all this is talking about when I'm talking about like that offset energy. Like, it takes you into what they say is a parasympathetic trance, right? So it takes you into a trance where you're releasing all control. You're not in a fight or flight mode. You're
Mhm.
out of that. You're in a relaxation trance mode. So you'll be able to bring those things up through the hakaus, or the words of power that they give you in here. So reciting those words of power, because like, even with me, like, I'm more of a symbol person. Like, symbols speak volumes to me more than words. I'm like reading words, or even going through hekals, which are the words of power, which aren't even really words. They're like a whole bunch of vowels put
Mhm.
together that are like words, but the vibration or the energy and the frequency of these connections mean something, and it reprograms and change the whole thought process of your thinking. So that's what's so powerful about meditative practices and trance work, using words or frequencies of words that you may think aren't really words, but it's actually reprogramming, reframing your mind to get out of that clenching, oh, love, or love is sex, or love is just me giving all the time, or love is me over giving myself, or love is me not saying no, or love is fearful, hopefully they don't leave, let me do whatever they say. That's how people get caught up in these relationships, and people make fun about it during this time, where they have a woman giving her tax check to a dude, and she looking all busted and disgusted, and here he got on a whole fresh set. Like, you got to even think about that
Yeah.
dynamic. Like, in her mind, she think it's love, really. In
Mhm.
her mind, he loves her. In her mind, because she has a distorted view of what love is, because she thinks in order to keep him, she got to pay him off, or keep him happy, or give him what he wants in order for him to be there. Because somewhere down the line, somebody somewhere told her she wasn't good enough, she didn't look the part, she wasn't right, she wasn't educated enough, she wasn't something. It was something that she wasn't, and she accepted it. And when she accepted it and she never went back to do the work, she gonna keep
Or
manifesting
somebody,
the
or somebody,
same type of person.
nobody told, or maybe just nobody that ever told her that she was worth something. As we, as feminine energies, we can have these distorted images of ourselves. When I used to think
Mm-hmm.
I was fat, nobody ever told me that I was fat. Like, right. And I used to think that I was, and but I really was very shapely and curvy. Like, I was like 169 pounds, and I used to like think that I used to think I was just so, because I was bigger than my best friend. My best friend, she was really skinny.
Mm-hmm.
So I would compare myself to other people, right? And then one day a boy said it, and it stuck with me because I was way thicker than a lot of my friends were. Not in like a, but in more in a, like, I was stacked, like, like really thick, stacked. And now I go back and I look at pictures now compared to, you know, what I see now. And I was like, I was not that. Like, I thought I was, and then I thought everybody around me thought I was. And
Mm-hmm.
so we can always we can form these distorted images of ourselves, and then it's projected out, and then
Mm-hmm.
it's received back. You know what I'm saying? Like, that right there is something. It's something.
Mm-hmm. And then we accept it,
Yeah.
and then we move like that. It's like, you once you accept it, that's how you move, whether you realize it or not. Like, you moving in that energy until you accept better, until, like you said, until somebody come around and sees you, their perception of you is different,
Yeah.
then you accept that perception. You know what I'm saying? Like, you start to accept whatever somebody else perceives of you, which really doesn't even matter, is your perception of yourself. And that's why going into that trance and doing that work, because like you said, whether somebody says it or not, it may be just you comparing. Well, why
Mm,
am I comparing? Well, why am I, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of like,
exactly.
you got to be like, well, why am I even doing? Is something missing for me to even be doing those things?
Mhm.
Because it's something in me that's not fulfilled. Otherwise, I would walk around in the world and I don't even see that to even do the comparison.
Yeah.
Like, you once you go into like spiritual awakening, like you already know, like once you get to a point, like you don't even see yourself in a space to compare looks, money, car, like you beyond it's. And I hate to use the word beyond because my partner, he corrected me on that because he got mad about Andre 3000 talking about he was beyond rap. And I was like, the way that he's using is not better than. I said, you want to look at it as better than, but it's not
It's
what
not what
he's
you
saying.
mean.
He's saying that he's elevated his consciousness past a certain place, and now he's going somewhere else that doesn't need words.
Yeah.
So I said, that's what I mean when I say beyond, or
It's
above,
like
beyond that,
he's already
past
come out
it,
of it. It's like
elevated.
going backwards for him to go into to go into rap again. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a different, it's a different frequency. Like,
Mm,
even though, like I was trying to say, like, even though if he would talk on something, did he say, well, he can talk about yes, but even to use words, like people don't even understand, even using this language, it lowers the frequency than sound, sacred geometry, light language. Like, that's a whole different frequency that you're on when you're utilizing instruments.
mhm.
Like, that makes the person go meditative, and you can send people into a trance with just an instrument. And
Yeah.
because when you say words, you're giving thought
Right.
processes.
That's how the Kundalini works.
Yep.
It's the, like when the man sits there, he plays the instrument to bring the cobra out. It's the same thing. Like, the cobra is not brought out saying, "Cobra, get out here.
Thank you.
We want to see you. Raise and do a little dance." Like, it's not coming out. Like, it's the frequency of music that helps these things to come out. And like you said about um Dang, I hope I don't forget it. You was just talking about how we okay, yeah, how we have to go to the roots and how we have to climb that tree, and before you get to the next before you get to that next chakra, you have to align with this one, you have to clear this one out. That's the same thing that you do when you are in these divine connections. That's why there's a lot of in and out, back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you come together, it's like a clearing, like something is being cleared out, something is being brought up that's very deep that you may have not been able to bring up yourself. And you needed another energy. Sometimes that happens like that, where you are needing um you are needing more of a frequency match to help you to stir these things up. Like my
Mm-hmm.
partner, he did not I think he had given up on love. Like he was like, no. And I still think like if these type of relationships don't work out, like it might be a little, I don't hope this, but it might be a little hell on other people, because he's not gonna be this open again for a while. You know what I'm saying? With these types of what we've been able to accomplish within these connections, like he has found love again within, not just for me, but for himself, for his life, like certain things within his own life that he was having trouble with loving, and being and actually getting attached to something, not like in a negative way, but in a way of like caring for something, nurturing something. He might have
Mm-hmm.
had his own, you know, self concept problems that he needed to work on within himself, to the reason why, he was like giving up on love, like, so these things, like going up and doing that work, it really does, separate and I mean together and separately, it really does make all of the difference, because without that work, y'all are just two leaves blowing in the wind.
Man, I just found something just right on point. I was flipping through here to find something else on our set, and I come to chapter 10 where it's talking about the initiation system of the tree of life.
Mhm.
But the part I got to read, like, it just stood out, and I didn't even have this highlighted in the book at all. It says that it talks about Sebek. So we're going to go into Sebek.
Mhm.
So it says, it is through this faculty that we become informed. We receive names for things and events. My power going out. Names for things and events, definitions, descriptions, and explanations. That's what Sebek is. It separates. An
Mhm.
unwise society will fail to teach its citizens the difference between knowing, which is the experience of a reality, and believing acquired information. If people, for example, knew what is love, when they say to one another, I love you, they could not, for example, manifest anger to another person. For
Mhm.
love, an expression of the fourth sphere, is a perpetual example of joy and optimism that is totally independent of external circumstances. It
Mm.
is giving, not seeking in return. At the eighth sphere, we know the words but lack the experience behind the words. So our actions contradict our claims and beliefs. Girl, this shit so deep that I was just
Mhm.
flipping through it and I said, what is love? And I just saw this in the book. So I had to go back. I was like, what's this? This is setback. So it says that even in this world, they don't teach us this shit. You know what I'm saying? They'll teach us, like he said right here, they'll fail to teach us the difference between knowing, which is the experience, and then believing, which is acquiring the information.
Mhm.
So we wouldn't get mad at nobody. We wouldn't get angry if we ever tell somebody, I love you. That's what I'm saying. Like when you say, I love you,
Programs. Mhm.
you have to understand that you don't get angry at that person. You don't get mad because he don't pull your chair out. You don't get mad at him because he forget an anniversary date.
We
You
just
don't get angry about this because, this person may not be good at remembering dates. This person may not be a strong suit. Who knows? But at the
yeah.
end of the day, it says you don't manifest anger to another person for love. An expression of the force sphere is a perpetual, and we got to think about the force sphere is hetero. So, is a perpetual expression of joy and optimism that is totally independent of external circumstances. So, it does not depend on anything external. It does not depend on anything external. It is giving, not seeking in return. We know the words, but we lack the experience behind the words. So our actions contradict our claims and beliefs. So you'll say it, but your
Mm,
actions is contradicting what love is. And that's a perfect Ra'u Nefer Amen puts it perfectly in what it should be and what we have not been taught, so we don't know. But that's
mm,
the reason why we have these conversations, so we can understand what it is, and then we can reprogram ourselves to get to a higher frequency of what love actually is. Because I don't
mm.
even think people even understand what it is. They just say it based off an emotion or a
Yeah,
feeling of what somebody is doing, but it's not dependent on external circumstances at all.
yeah.
I,
They have to program themselves just like they have to unprogram themselves. They have to
mm-hmm,
program themselves with what is love. Like actually taking those things
mm-hmm.
in and actually uprooting all of those programs that have been built, that you've seen in the media, that you've seen within the family, that you have, experienced within relationships. And I feel all of us should be fortunate enough to meet a partner who is willing to help you uproot those things within yourself, not just like, meeting something outside of yourself, but to go through this patient process, because this is patience, learning, unlearning, and then learning, and then unlearning again, then learning that, about what love really is a patient journey. And we all need that patience and that um reprogramming within ourselves at some point. Y- like things used to then sit right with me. Like I used to couldn't stand when people always said, "I love you." Like I used to make me so. My sister, she ended up getting a girlfriend that she and her friends, they all said it to each other. And they would just, they would just, it would be like everybody was sis, everybody was this. And see, I was like more like my mama. I listen, no, we not like no, that's how I was looking at it. But then I started to kind of see I kind of started to see where they were coming from with it as I got to know them longer. I started to kind of see where they were coming from with it and why it is that they said it. And it was like it was purely because is maybe one of them experienced, that loving family, but then the other one may have not experienced that loving family. So they have adopted something from
Mm-hmm.
the loving family, to reprogram themselves that everybody ain't, a negative influence on them. And then it kind of like trickled down from friend to friend to friend to friend. And then finally it got to me where I was telling people too. I was like, I love you. I'm like, it was better to say it than to not say it, because
Yeah.
these are people that you care about. These are people that
Mm-hmm.
you've learned to love and all of those things. But I also, had to come back and forth with myself, because I would be like I love her, but I cannot stand her. That would be my thing. I'm like, but how can I love her if I can't stand her? Like, and so it would bring me back into a loving space. Like, I really don't. It's not that I really can't stand her. It's just that I
Mm-hmm.
don't like what she did in this moment, and that's
Exactly.
okay. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so it was like those constant lessons of what love really is, and like sometimes you have to check yourself when it comes to you loving another person and loving outwardly, because and even loving yourself, like you can't contradict yourself when you say you love yourself and then talk bad about yourself in the same sentence. It doesn't work like that. And the same thing with your divine partner. You can't be saying that you love your divine partner but then talk about how you can't stand them, or
Mm-hmm.
you speak negatively over the relationship, or the things that you have been through, knowing that y'all are in a this is all we all learning, like we all in the
Mm-hmm.
university, we all taking classes, and we all learning. So it's like you can't say that in the same sentence, but I love him, you know what I'm saying? And then when it's good you love him so much, but then when it's bad it's like now you want to run and hide and you want to do these things. No, you have to reevaluate yourself. Is it that you can't stand them, or is it that they bring up the mirror and they show you who you really are? That it can be hard to see at times, and that doesn't mean that that person doesn't love you or that you really can't stand that person. You just don't like looking in the mirror. Or you don't,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? Certain things that this person may do that you don't agree with, and that is okay. But the love should never fade. The love should never go away after it is spoken and after you said it. You, love can be tough too. It's not always easy.
Yep. And that's why the evaluation has to start with self. Like that's
Yeah.
why I feel like evaluate yourself, do the work on self first. Because once you understand what true love is, when you love yourself, then it makes it free. It's so freeing to the point that you can say tell anybody you love them because you do. You know what I'm saying? It's like I understand that, like you said, this is not you. This is just something you did in the moment. This was just the spirit or whatever spirit that was in you at the time that led you to do what you did. I know that's not who you are at your core essence,
Exactly.
because your core essence, you're connected to source and you're me.
Mm,
So I love me. Like,
exactly.
so you me, and I can't help but see me in you, so I love you. And that's when you do like that work and you start seeing everybody in every circumstance as you, like everything and everyone that you encounter is you can't help but love, and
Yeah,
you can't help but exude that love. So when you do tell somebody I love you, like you really mean that shit.
I
Like shit,
really
I do.
do.
I love your ass,
Yes.
homeless man. Like I don't have to know your name, homeless man, but I love you. Oh, like for real. Like I
For
love you. And
real.
so when you say it, it's like, yes, because I've done that offset work. I've
Mhm.
done that root work already. So when I say it, I mean it, giving nothing in return. Like it doesn't matter about external circumstances. It don't matter if you say it back to me or not. That doesn't change my love. Now, my
Exactly.
emotions may get into it where I may feel a certain type of way because you didn't say it. And that's be like, oh, there's still work I need to do on myself because I
Yeah,
care too much about what this other person say to me rather than me
exactly.
just caring about just
Yes.
giving the love. So you got to
Yes.
think about that shit too. And it came to my attention, when my partner, he shared with me, this is before he was able even to say, I love you a few months ago. Like we had a real deep conversation about why, and his objective to it meant it was huge and it means a whole lot. He said, because people don't mean love the way that I mean it. He said, I've had people to say, I love you, and they leave, or they're not with you, or they don't want to talk. People will
Mhm.
say, I love you. And like what he was sharing, just like what the Medunetu said, is they were sharing, saying it based on external circumstances.
Mhm.
And what I shared with him, I said, I don't have those belief systems. I said, I give seeking nothing in return. Like, and I had to really think about that because I'm just like, even if we weren't together and if he was sick and he needed me, would I be there for him? Yes, I would. If he needed me and we went, yes, I would. Like, I still want to help him because I love him, because I love everybody. So
Mhm.
I won't, just because if our romantic partnership so happen to dissolve itself and I evolve or he evolves out of it, would I still be there? Yes. And that was my confirmation to be like, hey, you've reached a level in your spiritual walk to really understand what love truly is. Whether you're still intimate with this person or not, you're
Right.
not seeking anything in return. You're not looking for the Disney cartoon ending to what they say it's supposed to be. You're not looking at external circumstances. You're looking at the source love. You're looking at just giving that agape love or whatever you all want to call it. That's just how you start to feel with people. And that's where you'll get to in your connection once you go through those stages that we've shared already, like the spells and attachment or detaching when it's necessary,
Mhm.
and then fully surrendering to the connection and surrendering to yourself. Like, when you do all those things that we've shared already before, like, you can't help but get to a place of, no matter what, like, I just love, like,
Yeah.
woo, like I'm running. And he always say, like, I'm running through a field of flowers. Like, I'm always running through a field of flowers in love. Like, it doesn't matter. Like he said, you just love anybody. And I said, I do. I said, because my heart is open for it. So whether it's you or not, I'm making myself a vibrational match. Like,
Yeah.
we got to think about that too. Like, you're making yourself a vibration. Just like, I think it was last week, no matter where I went to, people just giving me stuff for free. And I love when I'm in that energy because it lets me know that I'm exuding out more
Mhm.
love and more higher frequencies. It's not the fact that it's free and I'm manifesting, people try to get into that. But then I look at it from a different perspective. I'm more so looking at it from, you're showing so much and giving off so much loving energy, high frequency energy, that people are matching you.
Yes.
That's what that match is. And
Yeah.
I had to get my nail fixed. I had to go to the Chinese people. I was like, well, how much? She's like, oh, no. I was like, oh, okay. I went somewhere else and I had to get it. I was like, I'll give it to you for free. Like, no. I was like, okay, so I'm getting something to eat for free. I'm getting this for free. I'm finding stuff. Things are just coming to me. It's like, wow. And I loved on Wednesday for Valentine's Day, even though I don't like calling Valentine's Love Day. I was at Starbucks and a man, where my little button at? Here you go. The little man, it was a man, he had on hearts, a heart hat, heart outfit. He was like the little love, like love bug clown for the day. He had on all hearts, everything. And he gave everybody these little buttons. And for the little thing, it says, I am
Oh,
loved. And I
that's
thought this
so
was so
cute.
sweet. Like, it made my whole fucking day. Like,
Yeah.
this little bitty ass button that he gave to everybody at Starbucks Wednesday morning. It was like 9:15 in the morning. He gave everybody I am loved. And I wore it all day. I said I was so happy. And I showed my partner and I showed him, I said, this right here, this made my whole day right here. Like, just to have this and for people, everybody to get one, it
Yeah.
just was like, man, this is and it was an affirmation for me for the fucking day.
Yeah. I've been saying that affirmation. That's what's so funny to me. I've been saying, like, I am so loved. I am loved. And I am loved. Like, I have been saying this affirmation. That is so cute.
This right here, the fact that it's I am. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like, it could have been just love right here. It could
Yeah.
have been Happy Valentine's Day or anything. It
It could have
says
said I am.
I
Yeah.
am.
I
When
am.
I
Yeah.
got that shit, I was like, oh, I'm embodying this shit. Like, fuck, y'all don't even understand. Like, I told the lady, I said this before I left. I said, I'm just so happy just to have this
I
because so it
know.
just confirmed for me for the rest of my motherfucking life while I'm here in this form that I
Yeah.
am loved. Like,
Yeah.
drop the mic.
Yeah. Yeah. And see, when I be at work, people be like, Mel, you be on the phone, you be telling them people that you love them. Girl, sometimes they can't even help themselves. Like, they'll
Mm-hmm.
tell me that they men, women, elderly, like they'll just tell me before they know it, they be like, "I love you, girl." Man, I just love you. And then they be
Mm-hmm.
surprised. I can tell they kind of be taken back when I say it openly, and I
Ah,
mean,
yeah,
you know what
yeah.
I'm saying? I be like, "I love you too," and we love you too. You know what I'm saying? Like that. And some people you can tell that they don't even really mean to say it, and they kind of say it on accident, but they spirit can't help but to say
They
it.
can't help
And
it.
I said, "Well, they hear me on the recorded line. My supervisor say, I hear you on that recorded line, and you just be telling people that you love. They be saying, I love you, Melanie, and you be like, I love you too, and you just be sounding like you mean it. I was like, I do mean it. I love you too, like I do
Mm-hmm.
mean it. She be like, she's like, man, it ain't nothing I need to do on your call coaching. Just go on back to your desk. Like, girl, listen, it's a recorded line, and all they hear love. That's what they need to be hearing here. We expressing love. I never met these people a day in my life, but my spirit know them. And they know them in some form. They still me. You know what I'm saying? A lot of them people just be wanting to listen ear, but it's
Yeah.
just so freeing to be open to love, because when somebody tell me, they be like, "Man, I love you. Just God bless you." When they say that to me, it's like, thank you, because you
Mhm.
you asking God to bless me. That's
Yes.
something big to me. And I got to the point where I would start saying, you know what, God bless you. And I would say it because it was being said to me so much, and I started to understand the frequency that was high. It was like, you're sitting here and
Mm-hmm.
you're asking God to bless me just because I gave you great customer service. You know what I'm saying? Just because I took the time out to listen to you, or I took the time out, that's something big. And a lot of times it always aligns up. Somebody might pay for my lunch at work. Like, I might not have no money, and my coworker be like, "Don't worry about it, I got you." Or like, it always, even though I'm not expecting nothing in return, it always somehow returns itself. When somebody tells me, God bless you, that's like, in my book, that'd be like, okay, that's like my I am loved, like with you. That's like, okay, thank you, because I know something is coming. It's not even like an expectation. It's like, I know something. You ask God to bless me. And now I'd say, have a good day. And they'd be like, you have a blessed one. And I'd be like, you know what I'm
Yeah,
saying?
because when I hear it, it just, to me, it's like you're saying, may the abundance of the universe
Be
be
with
bestowed
you.
upon your life within this life. Like, they are bringing in the abundance of the
Yes,
universe to you. It's just like, may source just abundantly pour out all of the good things, all of the pot, like everything. It's like, that's what they're saying. So when
yes,
people say God bless you, like, no matter if you're in church or not, like, you don't have to be a religious person to
yes,
accept the frequency, like what you saying, of things that's on based on where they are, because they're only utilizing the consciousness level that they're on. But you
yes,
know how to interpret it. It's like somebody that can barely speak English, but you can interpret what they're trying to say. It's the
yes,
same thing. Like, even though you don't know how to say it on a higher level, I know you just saying, may the universe pour abundantly upon my life in all areas while I'm in
yes,
this form and beyond this form. Like,
yes.
it's given so much in those words that they're using God
It's
for
a
one to mean
command.
one thing, exactly,
Yes,
and blessings for another. So you just know how to interpret it and receive it. Like, the
mhm,
way that you receive it and your perception, along with your imaginations of what you're looking to receive from that, is
mhm,
going to be part of what manifests in your life. So
mhm.
if it's, they could say that, and somebody may need healing for their body right there, and because they said
Yes.
it and the other person received it, then you have it and it
Do you
manifests itself.
hear me?
Like, that's how powerful that is when people say that.
Girl, they could call me on the phone, and they could say, "Man, I was hoping, I God is so good. God is so good. Hey, how he blessed me today. I got you. I was wanting to get you, and I got you." And I'd be like, "You so sweet. Thank you." And she'd be like, "Nah, let me just tell you, Melanie. I've been going through some things. I've been going through some things, but God done blessed me today." God is always in the blessing business. They always, always go in on how God is in the blessing business no matter what is going on. and she'll say something like, one lady, she was talking about how her house burned down, but everybody got out. Nobody got hurt. She lost her house, she lost everything, but everybody got out. And my words were her to her was, God bless you. God bless
Mm-hmm.
you. You made it through that, but God is gonna bless you. They could be in pain. They could be trying to just get it. Could be something so subtle and so simple. They could be just,
Mm-hmm.
we don't have no rides available and they just need a ride and they elderly and they trying to
Yeah.
get from the stove. I say, God bless you. They call back in 30 minutes. How about they have a ride? Or a bus
Mm-hmm.
driver just pick them up and be like, here, I'm finna go ahead and take you home so you don't be stuck here. You know what I'm saying? Like, those words carry so much weight. And when they say it as a commandment, like they are
Mm-hmm.
commanding the universe to bless you. You got to receive that as what it is. Like, you got to receive
Mm-hmm.
it for what it is. You not asking, you're not saying, I hope God blesses you on today. You're
Mm-hmm.
not giving me a hope. You telling God bless you.
Mm-hmm.
Like that right there, I'd be like, yes, thank you. Thank
Yep, they
you.
receive it. You receive it because people are, and especially when you know it's coming from an earnest heart, like people are like, not only are they like calling things from another realm into this existence and opening up these portals that you need in order for you to receive, but you also get to be like, okay, this is the opportunity for me to enlighten to know that this is what I'm getting ready to walk into. So it's
Yeah.
kind of like a meeting point. It's kind of like
Yeah.
like you already walking in this energy and then they call it on in. And then you
Yeah.
all and
Yes.
then they go back into when two or one are more in agreement. Like this is all it needs. That's a magic spell right there. So when you look at it from that perspective, you already know this is what it is. You have people that are really calling things in on your life in
Yes.
this realm. And so we'll see it in a negative perspective, but people call in like light all the time. Like it's a lot of light workers out here that may not even know that they fucking light workers, but they call it in all of this light within your life because you are meant to be like anytime like you, whether it's on the phone or whether it's passing or meeting up, like everybody has to connect for whatever reason. Like when we are supposed to be in line with somebody else that's in our life, like the
Yes.
universe will conspire for us to come together to
Divine
move
intervention.
pieces forward in
Mhm.
what it needs to move forward because there's a certain frequency that has to come upon this planet. I just feel like
Yes.
that. And I feel like we here at this particular time for us to join. And it doesn't have to always be a romantic partnership.
Yeah.
Like some of these people that we getting ready to connect, which is gonna be a lot of divine connections, but it's also divine connections that may just be like people that you end up working with, or people that you have to work for, or people that connecting with you that are your neighbors
Yeah.
or teachers. Like you don't know, you'd be like, damn, like I don't know, like I feel you cool as hell. Like I don't know what it is, but damn, and it be those connections that have to happen and allow it. Like that's love too. Like
Uh,
that's a whole when somebody said God bless you and they send out protection or
yeah.
be safe, when they say be safe or God bless you, when they sending out all of these words because these spells, like that is really calling things in and that's powerful. That's love. That's
Yes.
love.
It's love, and it's a like you said, it's that meeting point. You needed something and they needed something. You know what I'm saying? They
Mm-hmm.
needed your help and you needed their help in some way, form, or fashion. You just don't know it yet because we
Mm-hmm.
don't know really how this shit working. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? We just experiencing this whole thing. And so when you doing that, like, yeah, you moving things around in people's life, you shifting things in your own, they are helping you to shift things. That's why a lot of people are in the places that they are. That's why you have to look at your where you are. If you can't leave your job right now, I know all the spiritual people tell people to leave your job, become,
Yeah.
do your own thing. You're supposed to be
But
working
yeah, stop. Y'all stop doing this shit. I had to
exactly.
tell somebody that I told a friend of mine this about a month or so ago. Because she said, well, people, I said, this is one thing, and I'm gonna tell you because I've been in the entrepreneur world. Don't leave your fucking job if you ain't got the income set up for yourself as being an entrepreneur. That's business development, business model, business planning
And trial
101.
and error.
Like when you do your family budget, when you have to do budgeting before you start your own business, they want to look at how much are you making now? Is the business going to be able to sustain you if you leave right now? Well, you may not be able to leave right now because the business ain't gonna be able to sustain itself. So you need to stay your ass working until the business get to a point where it can sustain a viable salary and an income for you. Other than that, you still gonna be working a job for yourself and you the only employee. And it's
Yeah,
gonna be harder because you're gonna be hustling 10, 20 times harder just to make half of what you made on your job.
yeah,
So people say that, yeah, there is freedom. You can make your own hours and you wake up when you want to, but you all can also can be broke as you want to be. And you also can be tired as you want to be because there's a lot of work that goes into entrepreneurship and being a business owner and a lot of like the other side of the shit that people don't talk of that they just say you need to work for yourself. You got to free yourself.
yes,
Yeah, but you
yes.
got to have it set up properly and
You
have
got to have
income coming
it.
in.
And you got to know what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? You cannot just be out here just up and thinking that you got an idea and you start and it could be the greatest idea. And it, you know, in the entrepreneurship demands way more of your time than your job does. Like
Yep.
it demands a lot of your time. If you think that you are going to be relieved on time and you'll have more, true enough, you do. Some people can leave the job, they have enough money saved up,
Mhm.
but sometimes you are exactly where you are supposed to be.
Mhm.
Sometimes we have to look at where we are and ask, like, okay, why am I here? What is the reason for me being here? The first time I asked that question, because I in customer service, baby, you can get tired. You know, I have to come home and take a nap for real. Like you
Yep.
tired on top of having 5 kids. Like you can get tired, and you it causes you to give out a lot of energy, and it's not just positive, it's up and down energy. You have to stay neutral. Like you, it's this is a balancing act when it comes to customer
Mhm.
service, you know. And so one thing that I have, sometimes you are exactly where you are supposed to be. I started to get an influx of calls that said, Melanie, I'm so glad I got you. I am so glad I just knew I was gonna get you. Then next call, and then like Melanie, this is what's going on. This, and this. And I'll be like, okay, give me just 1 second. Hold on, let me see what I can do. Then I come
Mhm.
back and we resolve it. Sometimes I can resolve it, sometimes I can't. And I don't promise nothing. But they say, Melanie, they know that if I try, if I
Mhm.
if they told me and I say, well, there's nothing that I can do about it. The only thing I can do is try to rebook your trip. And they'll be like, okay, Mia, I know you tried. Like they
They
just
know that you tried. Mhm.
they know I tried. And sometimes you are exactly where you are supposed to be in those in the moments that you are supposed to be there. In the time
Mhm.
frame that sometimes we leave prematurely when we are not secure, we have not secured our bag. We have not done the research that we need to do in order to run a business. We have not taken like the proper precautions when it comes to running a business, because that money just don't flow in like a waterfall. It don't, you know, sometimes it does, but I hear a lot of entrepreneurs say they wish they would have known that, you know, from the very beginning. So sometimes you are exactly where you are supposed to be. Maybe your job right now is to be a help in a community that is not is um in a lower state of being at the moment. Like the problem where we work at, there's no transportation that goes through those areas. So they don't those people don't have transportation over there. So and there's a lot of elderly people over there, you know. And so we have to basically like have a lot of compassion, because it was certain groups of people that caused them not to have transportation, and then they
Mhm.
put free transportation back over there. So we have
Mhm.
to have a level of these are some of these areas are poverty stricken
Mm-hmm.
areas. So we have to have a level of compassion with these people. You have to know that you're dealing with all different types of spirits.
Yeah.
I can have the sweetest person today. She could be the sweetest person, but tomorrow when I get her and stuff don't go her way, baby, she a whole nother spirit. And you have to
Mm-hmm.
be able to deal with those spirits. So you just never know. You just never know. You probably are exactly where you listen to these folks tell you to leave your damn job when you probably where you right where you supposed to be at, and you supposed to be trying to figure out how you can make it better for you. You know.
Use that job as experience in
Yes.
any type of way possible, even if it's customer service. You gonna need customer service in a business anyway.
Yes,
You
you are.
definitely gonna need, like, look at their practices, look at their refund policy, look at their HR, look at your employee manual, employee handbook. Copy that shit and email it to yourself. Because it was a lot of stuff when I worked the job before I started my own business. I would go work part time somewhere else. Like when I was a fitness specialist for the county, I would
Mhm.
take they shit and email it to me because I'm like, I could take this, change it up, and this is how I want to use it for my business. I need to change the wording. This is something I need to incorporate in my business. Like, look at whatever practices are in place where you work at and see how that shit can benefit you.
Yeah.
Copy and paste. Yeah, I'm not telling you to plagiarize anything, but you can use wording. You can start to get an understanding of what your templates need to look like.
Yes.
Utilize that job for more than just, I'm just going to get a check. If you know your outcome is for you to work for yourself and to have your own business, well, what business practices do they have in place that I can move over to my business? Because your business has to have structure. Are you
Yeah.
going to have employees? How are you going to do workman's compensation and employee benefits and all of that? Get that shit from work and go
Mhm.
up, like, utilize it. And a
Like you
lot of people
someone giving
don't
it to you
have
literally.
it. Yeah, like, this is stuff that you got to have and know for yourself. Like, what's their mission statement? What's your job
Yeah.
vision? Like, look at your job mission and vision and be like, okay. Like, when I first started Finally Fit Memphis, I looked at the vision and the mission for Lifetime Fitness when I was working at Lifetime in Collierville. And that's how I was able to start constructing my mission and vision for Finally Fit. I looked at my structure. I looked at the shit that I had already done. I looked at my sales from what I did there, how to do sales over here. Like, and then I ended up training a lawyer for FedEx. She helped me do my whole paperwork for people who count cancellations. Well, this is how I need to be set up. She said, Dina, this is how I need to be set up. Like, this is how we're going to structure it. And perfect. Because I didn't know. I'm like, I was just
Yeah.
on a whim. I didn't know nobody that was doing it when I was doing it in
Yeah.
2011 like that. That was a black female that I knew in Memphis that was doing mobile training and personal training around Memphis in 2011. No, not 2024. Everybody doing it, but 2011, I didn't know nobody. So I was doing this shit just off of whim. Like, let me just figure it out. And once I figured it out, I started to understand business more than just my certification. I'm like, okay, I'm getting to understand business, and I don't want to just be working for myself. And I tell people this too, and we totally off subject, but when you go into working for yourself, one of the things that you really, really need to do, especially if you're doing goods or services or whatever it is, get contracts.
Mhm.
Get contracts. Don't try to do person to person, individual to individual, small groups and small groups. Get you a contract with a corporation that's going to consistently pay you every year. So you'll get 30, 40, 50,000 a contract. And that way you don't have to worry about, you can still have people that may come to you one on one, but that's not your bread and butter because people are changed. It'll be holidays and they got to feed their family and buy kids birthday presents and they Xing your ass out. So while
Mhm.
you X'd out, you trying to figure out how you gonna do for your family. They already doing for theirs because they gonna be like, oh, I can't do this right now because it's the holidays. You know what I'm saying? So what the fuck is you gonna do? So that's
Mhm.
why I tell people, get the contract, get in with these small businesses, Get them to write you out a check for the whole year and you constantly provide, or they can do it for 6 months at a time. When I was doing it for Shelby County Schools, they would do it for 3 months at a time. And I'm like, okay, well, I got $8,000, $9,000 coming every 3, 4 months. I already know that I got them in line rather
Mm,
than I'm constantly trying to pump out an individual training, group session, privacy. Ain't nobody got
yeah,
time for that. So that's why I tell people, whatever your business or service is, get contracts and get the money up front. That's the best bet.
I love that advice. I love that.
That's the best bet. Unless you decide to go through your credit union and get you a loan up front to start your business. Because a lot of people try to pull themselves up from the bootstraps, and what you end up doing is putting yourself even more in the fucking hole.
Yeah,
So if your credit good, your credit union good, go to your credit union and get you a small loan to get your business up and started, or reach out to some of these other companies that have small business loans. But don't try to do everything on your own. Don't try to do it without getting a contract. Like you'll have spurts of success and you'll have spurts of downfalls. What are you going to do when those spurts of downfalls hits? That's the biggest thing. So be prepared, because entrepreneurship is like a wave.
mm-hmm.
It just is. Businesses are like a wave. They prepare for that
Job is
shit.
like a way.
So a job is like a wave. So
Real.
that corporation knows waves are going to come. They know the time of year. Like I knew when I was doing personal training for years, I knew when my down season was. I knew when my up season was. I knew when to benefit. I knew when it was gonna crash. Like I already knew, so I could plan ahead. Like once I got 2 or 3 years in and had been doing it, I'm like, okay, let me do this, let me do this, so I can prepare for that. So know your market. A lot of people don't even shop their comp. When I used to be a leasing manager, we had to shop our competition. A lot of people don't shop their comp. So if you don't shop your comp, you don't know what your competition doing, then you really at a downfall. Know what they selling their products for. Know what they doing their services for. Know how much, where, who is that niche? Why are they doing it? Get
Mm-hmm.
people just make sure
Research.
before you, research, do your work before you say, hey, I'm gonna quit my motherfucking job.
Yeah. I'm gonna go from
No,
financially stable to not having shit. Like, no.
no, I hear that from women all the time. I was talking to one other week. I had to give her the heads up. I was like, you know what you're doing? You need to get contracts. Fuck that person to person shit. Get your motherfucking contracts. Shit, person to person shit ain't gonna help nobody life.
Yeah.
You selling
Only for
insurance.
a moment. It ain't nothing you gonna be able to save up on.
No, no. Because by the time it come in, you already behind. That's the
Yep.
thing. The thing is, once it come in, you already behind. So then you got to
Yeah.
pay up because you playing catch up. Then you gonna fall back behind. Be like, God damn, I'm constantly playing this motherfucking game.
Mm-hmm.
We we in
Changing
traffic.
ahead. Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
Like no, like that's why I say
Longest
fuck
traffic
that.
ever. Like
Fuck that.
Houston.
That's what I wish I could talk to her. I got another friend getting ready to shut her business down. I'm gonna talk to her tomorrow because a lot of people they be all grandiose. I'm finna get my own place. I'm finna get my own spot. I'm finna do this, do that. Yeah, that sound good on the front end, but how have you planned this out? Like, I really wish I could talk to women, men who getting ready to start off. Don't get caught up in the whole like celebratory part of I got me a brick and mortar. Fuck that shit. How you gonna keep that motherfucking brick and mortar? Do you own that brick and mortar? And who name on that brick and mortar? Is it Loeb? Is it another construction company? Because we can go into taxes and they gonna raise your shit up. Are you gonna be able to afford it? They can do what they want to do because they shit don't change, but yours will. And if you don't own that business, you liable to have anything switch up on you, and they can
Mm,
change the rules at the drop of a dime. And then what you gonna do? Can your business sustain that? You
yeah.
know, it be so many question marks that people don't think about. They just get all excited on what it looks like, their
Yeah.
perception to other people. Ooh, that look good, girl. You get your eye. Ooh, yeah, 6 months. Ooh, I gotta shut down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because nobody ever takes into account that the money that you put into it, you're gonna have to get that money back first before you start to before you really start to see something. you not making nothing unless you get that money back. Unless you have already received back and put being able to pour back into your business what you have paid for it. It takes a lot to do that sometimes. Like we don't think about that all the time. Like you have to be able to pour back in, you know, for your business. And are you getting, do you have the appliances to be able to pour back in? Do you have the subscriptions? Like it's a whole lot. It's a whole
Yeah.
lot when
Do
you,
you
especially
have
when you doing
credit?
products and you making
Do
products.
you have credit?
Yeah.
You need credit. You need credit cards. You need credit. You need real American Express credit. Like you need that shit. Because you don't need to be paying all of that out of pocket because you got to build up your business credit. So if you got to build up your business credit so you can be able to have, you got to have your credit first before that. Because if your business ain't been in business over 3 years, they're not gonna give your business shit. So you got to have credit. So if you don't have credit, then you need to go to your credit union and get some loans, and so you can build up, so you can have credit. Like you need to look at all this shit before you just say, "Hey, I'm finna quit my motherfucking job." So that's why I tell people, like, please, what is, it's so many different things. And Black people, I love that we've gotten to, we're gonna work for ourselves, but we have to slow it down and then look at and get you an accountant. Like sometimes people don't even have nobody that's gonna help them with their money. Like you don't even know where your money
You
going.
don't trust
Get
them.
somebody to help you with your taxes. Like sometimes people don't even know all the tax breaks that's out there. Like you need an accountant, you need somebody to do your taxes. Like you ain't gonna want to do all this yourself. Think about it. You gotta do your taxes, you gotta have an account, or you doing QuickBooks, or you're gonna have to have somebody to do your marketing, you gotta do your website, do your flyers, you gotta think, then you gotta do your service or your product or whatever that is. Then you gotta try to post on social media all the time and make sure you do that. You gotta
It's
try
a
to get it. It's a
like
it's a
it's
whole
a job
job.
that you
So
not
think
being
about it.
paid for. Like you not being paid for at first. Like it's a real
Mm-mm.
job that you're not being paid for at first.
Yep.
Versus you having checks that come to you every week or every 2 weeks. Like it's a job. It is not easy
It
at
ain't easy.
all. Like it's not
Don't
for the
let
faint
these
of
folks
heart.
fool. Don't let these folks fool y'all.
And
Don't
if you
let them
like
folks
me,
fool y'all.
I don't like to post like that. Like sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I be in the mood, sometimes I don't. So it's like that back and forth. I'm not ready to quit my job yet.
Don't
I have
do
to
it.
keep that
Cause you
stability.
can hire somebody to do your posts. And you
Yeah,
ain't got to, you know what I'm saying? Like if
and
you
that
know,
costs.
if you know you don't like you, then if I ain't no posting person, let me hire somebody to do my social media, all my platforms across the board. Make sure that you all are posting at least 6 posts per day. This is what is my outcome need. Build your team. Like when I had finally fit, I had me a team. I had 3 salespeople. I had one person that did my PR. I had another person I was the personal trainer, but I also had people to work on my team, so I wouldn't have to do it all. But
Mhm.
everybody was just seeing my face, but they didn't know. Like I had to get some people. I had to get motherfuckers to teach some classes. I need y'all to teach some classes. When I had my build, y'all teach classes. Y'all do sales. Y'all do marketing. You do my PR, and you send out the email list and shit. Like, cause it's so much. Motherfucker
Mhm.
don't feel like doing all this shit. You ain't. I did it. I've done everything before, and it was a lot.
Need an assistant for sure.
Man.
You always gonna need a team for sure. Like especially if you a parent, a single parent, you're gonna need some people to help you. And if you got older children that are tech savvy, that are, you know, my tax lady, I love her so much. She has her daughter, like her daughter works with her, like they have like this whole thing. She has a whole team, and I remember when she was just doing it by herself, you know what I'm saying? And now her daughter is, now she does taxes, and like she has a team of people that helps her send out emails, that send out, and she's also a paramedic. Like she's a paramedic. Not only that, but she does a whole lot, and she's a realtor. Like she does a whole lot of things. She would never be able to do all of those things without some help from people in the background. she had to relieve herself with taxes and teach it to her children. Like that's just too she too bomb for me. Like she like the superwoman. Like she does so much for the community. And then on top of that, she does our taxes too and does them correctly, which I love the most. Like I'm talking about, I've been with her for almost 10 years now. And she just does a lot, but she always tells she like, Melanie, I only take on what I can. I don't take on too much. I don't take on I just found out that she was in real estate. I was like, damn, like what is it that you don't do, woman? Like
And
I was
some people are just good multitaskers
man,
because I'm a multitasker. Like I have to have
she
a
is
lot of
great.
different things going on at the same time. Like I have to. If I don't, then I'm just gonna be crazy, like a hamster running around the wheel, like trying to find something to do. But
Yeah.
some people, like my partner, he can only do one thing at a time. He can only focus on one thing at a time. He can only give his attention to one thing at a time. He can only, and I'm just like, no, like I gotta be doing 10 things to your
I
one.
can't do it. The projector in me is like, no,
I'm like, I can't even study without having music and TV on. Like my
girl,
brain still gotta
no,
have. I never studied in the library from when I was in school. Like in
girl,
undergrad,
no.
I had to have music on and a TV series and smoke weed at the same time. That was me studying to pass my goddamn test.
Girl, no. The
Seven.
projector in me is like, what are you doing? No, I can't do it. It's like I can focus on I can focus. I can't focus on one thing at one time. So where you were able to listen to the music, it's like I have to take very frequent breaks when it comes to studying and doing certain things. Like I can never read a book all the way through. Like
Yeah.
it doesn't catch my it like it does after the interesting part is gone. It could be more interesting on the other side of this boring part, but I still never get there because like for me to focus on one thing at a time, it's like my mind is always like, okay, now, but it's like I start to get revelations. I start to go off in space. Like I start to think really hard. And then like it's like, what is on YouTube? Like I'm going to
Hmm.
YouTube. Like I just I can't my mind was not meant to focus like that to where I've always had this issue. Like I've always had this issue where my mind just would go from one thing to the next thing to the next thing. And people would call it unhealthy, but it's unhealthy for me to have one thing to do. Like I can do like even when I was starting to make body butter, I started out making body butter, but then it's like I was starting to tell myself, like, no, you can't just make body butter, baby. You got to make something else too. Like I had to create scrubs. Now I'm creating the scrubs, and then I'm thinking to myself, okay, now you creating these scrubs. Now what else are you gonna create? Like I cannot just focus on one creation. It has to be a mixture of like if I'm reading a book, I have to read this book, and then I have to take a break, and then I'm gonna go on YouTube, and then like, you know what I'm saying? Like I have to do those things like that. But the projector and me like running around, like generators are so easy. Like y'all can do so many things at one time. I admire it. I really do. I admire how y'all could just get shit done. Like get this shit done. Okay, I've been to work. Fuck that. I'm going to my second job. Like, it's like I'm creating this over here. Boom. Like it's like y'all can do so much at one time. But me, it's like the things that I'm doing, I have to like it have to be all in the same like I have to take frequent breaks. Like I can't just make body butter and be making 1,000 body butters. I can't just make scrubs and be making 1,000 scrubs. I'm gonna make 5 body butters, then I'm gonna make 5 scrubs, and then I'm gonna make 18 soaps. Like that's how my mind works. I can't like it. It just I don't know what it is. It just gets both. That's just my projector, and then I have to take a nap. Like I have to have the time for a nap. It's ridiculous.
Yep. Yep. Everybody be having their thing. I promise you, everybody got their little thing. Because I know some people who can only do one thing at a time. And I
Yeah,
was like, okay, if that's what works for you, then just know you and what works for you because that's where you'll be most successful. Just
yeah,
understanding that is where you're most successful, no matter what it is, no matter if you scatterbrain or you're one track or whatever, that's where you're successful. But we're gonna end it here with we've talked about what is love tonight, and we've given you a lot of great nuggets. Anything you want to share with the topic before we go?
we have veered all the way off topic and back again. We're good.
Yeah, we good. We've given you what is
Somebody
love.
needed it.
Yeah, somebody need everything that we talked about.
Yeah.
And what is love? It went from,
What is love?
romantic,
Yeah.
baby, don't hurt me. That's what I thought about it when I first said that. That was the
That's
song I
the
thought
first thing
about.
that came to my mind when I saw
Yep,
it.
yep. It was that song with the night at the Roxbury with them shaking their head to the side.
I love this song. Yeah.
And
Mm,
that's what we're gonna share. And we welcome you all again to like us on Facebook. I mean, like us on Instagram. Sorry, Witches and Warlocks on Instagram. Witches and
subscribe.
Warlocks on YouTube. Like, subscribe, and share it. And we'll see you all next week. Peace.